Welcome, everyone. This is Debbie Mayberry with National Kitchen and Bath Association. You're here for our third webinar of the month on surfaces and designs, and today's session is called Exploring Innovative Natural Stone Designs, Sustainable, Versatile, and Resilient. And Dacia Woodworth, who is with the Natural Stone Institute, will be speaking to us today about this. And we want to also thank the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation for generously sponsoring all of our webinars this month. And that said, I would like to have Christine Whitmore begin, and then we'll pass it on to Dacia. And I want to thank you all for being here. Christine, we're ready. Thank you.
Great. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Debbie. And welcome everyone to the NKBA webinar series and specifically to today's session. I'm so pleased to be here on behalf of the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation to thank you for participating. CTEF is committed to professional development for tile installers. That's why we support the NKBA webinar series and those who take continuing education so seriously. We're particularly excited about the theme of surfaces and design. Ceramic and porcelain tile are critical surface elements in an installation, and when installed by the best of the best certified tile installers who meet the requirements of qualified labor, the resulting installation is the ultimate in design. Not only is it truly beautiful, but it is sure to withstand the test of time while addressing the functional needs of those using the space. It does full justice to your vision as a design professional. Qualified labor refers to having the most qualified professional perform the specified scope of work rather than basing your decision on the lowest price. In the case of tile, and also stone, these are the tile installers who, like you, are committed to their craft, believe in professional development, and take the time to stay current with the latest materials and methods. Because we're talking about a permanent finish, the lowest bid should not be the driving factor, but rather who is most qualified to perform the scope of work specified. This is so critical that language now exists to aid the architect, specifier, and designer in the preparation of job specifications. This language is a part of the Tile Council of North America Handbook. It's also now included in the Avitru, formerly ARCOM Master Spec. The Certified Tile Installer designation identifies the professional installer who's reached a level of proficiency to independently and consistently produce a sound tile installation that displays good workmanship using tile industry standards and methods, along with time-tested, proven best practices, which are in place in the United States. The CTI program and the advanced certifications for tile installers are the only third-party assessments of tile experience and knowledge recognized by the tile industry in the United States. You can locate CTIs by using the CTEF website zip code locator. The CTEF is supported by all segments of the ceramic tile industry, and for more information, you can visit ceramictilefoundation.org. Thanks very much for your time and enjoy today's session. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Debbie, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure. Good morning, everyone, on the Pacific, Mountain, and Central Times, and good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. As Debbie mentioned, I work for the Natural Stone Institute. Our offices are located in Ohio, near Cleveland, but I work from a home office in Colorado, a remote office. So I'm a couple hours ahead of my colleagues, or behind my colleagues, but I work their hours. So if you need to reach me at any time, that's where you can reach me. I'll have all that information at the end of the slide. Again, my name is Dacia Woodworth. I am an architect and design community liaison, which, yes, it is a really fun job. I have been in the built industry since 1994, and I have been in the stone industry since 2001. So all of my experience is within the built world. So I've worked for a general contractor, a masonry contractor, a landscape contractor, suppliers, distributors. So I have a pretty broad base of knowledge with regards to the built industry. I am a Natural Stone Institute certified speaker. We do, within our organization, have a CEU program for architects, interior designers, landscape architects, NKBA folks, and we are, our courses are available for credit with all of those organizations, and we do have one or two that also give you a credit for the USGBC. These are provided by sometimes staff members, but almost entirely by our member companies. They get certified through our program to give our presentations, and they are available to give in-person presentations, and they can also do live webinars for you. A couple things we're going to cover today. First of all, we're going to start with the nuts and bolts, the geology, how do we process it, and what do we make out of that processed material? What do we carve? What do we fabricate? Second is we're going to look at some installations so that you can understand a little bit about the innovation in the industry with regards to technology and what that allows us as far as versatility and sustainability. And then we're going to talk about a little bit about the responsibilities of each party when we're doing a stone project. And finally, we would like to discuss a little bit about sustainability because it is an important part of our industry. We were a little late to the game, but we are really strong in the sustainability aspect now. What is natural stone? It's really important to define this. I was at KBIS a couple of years ago, and we asked some people coming by the booth if quartz was natural stone, and we were getting some really surprising answers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read this to you because it's much easier for me to read it succinctly than it is for me to just do it off the cuff. Genuine stone or natural stone is defined as natural stone which has been harvested from its original place of deposition in the earth, then cut, machined into final products without alteration to the internal fabric of the material. This is going to include granite, marble, quartzite, slate, serpentine, onyx, but that's not all. But it does not include engineered surfaces, such as quartz surfaces, porcelain, sintered surfaces, engineered veneer, concrete, terrazzo, or cast stone. Now, those materials are made with a significant to a small amount of natural material, but they are not defined as genuine stone or natural stone because you changed the internal fabric. Apologize. This is a really cool quarry down in New Mexico. They're quarrying really beautiful, rich, warm, golden travertine. So the way we classify stones is what they're made of and how they're made. They are either calcium carbonate, calcareous, or silicate-based, silicious. That's what they're made of. And they're either sedimentary stones, metamorphic stones, or igneous stones. Sedimentary is going to be your limestone, your onyx, your travertine, your sandstone. The metamorphic are those originally one of those materials that has metamorphosized from heat and pressure within the earth. And finally, igneous, or born of fire, are going to be your granites and your basalts. Those are going to come from either extruded or like a Pluton type mass, which is magma that comes up and cools within before reaching the surface of the earth and forms a pocket or a formation. How do we quarry material? Most materials that you see commercially produced are started as blocks. Now, it might be a big block of granite like that, Or it could be a smaller block of limestone that comes from a ledge that might be only 18 inches deep. So though they can get a large size footprint block, it's not as deep as this. We also quarry boulders and aggregates. And though we would probably not see a lot of aggregate used in interior finishes, believe it or not, boulders are often used. In fact, there are some materials, there's a sandstone in Oklahoma that comes out of the earth like a giant potato boulder. And when you slice it, it's this beautiful, it looks like a cappuccino. It has rings of dark chocolate and really warm, wonderful cinnamon-like color in the middle. Slabs. All of you guys know that we do produce slabs. Some are small, some are large, but again, that's based entirely on how that material comes out of the earth. How big or how thick is that ledge, and how is it quarried within the earth or outside? Tile. Cut to size. Now in interiors, we don't do a ton of cut to size, but as you'll see in one of the projects that I'll show you in a little while, there is some interior cladding that started as a cut to size job and then was fabricated from there. Paving. Though this paving doesn't look like something you would see in a finished interior surface or an interior flooring, it would in some cases be used as a commercial flooring or interior flooring, especially in our mountain regions. We've seen a lot of natural flagstone used in those applications. We make mosaics and moldings with our stone. Whether the little pencil liners like you see at the bottom left, or moldings like the bottom right, those can be small, like a chair rail, or they can be very large, like an exterior cladding and lintel up. Water jet and carvings. This is where innovation has really taken us to a whole different level as far as the ability to create things quickly and efficiently. As you see in the bottom right-hand corner, that beautiful golden marble, the water jet is cutting for a mosaic. They could inlay metal or glass within those cutouts, or they may inlay a different material, another marble or a granite. But it has really changed the landscape for us as far as the ability to create these beautiful things that are not completely cost prohibitive. We have hand tools to carve, or we have water jets to carve. Now we're going to look at a few natural stone installations. These couple of projects were all winners of, we have 2 awards programs within the Natural Stone Institute. One is the Pinnacle Awards, and that is to honor the installation and supplying of the natural stones within the project. And then we also have our Tucker Awards, and these are design professional awards given to architects, landscape architects, etc. It's really to honor the vision and the design. The first one I'm going to show you is very, very unique. This is it's an installation, it's a showroom in Singapore. The original vision for this was Finding Nemo, and I think they did a pretty good job of getting there. If you can see how the light dances and plays off of the curved marble. Now, you may imagine that we always think of marble as rigid and heavy. This innovative process has allowed them to use this and to bend the marble. It is very, very thin, fine sheets of marble adhered to a fiberglass so that it can be molded. It's an outstanding innovation. I applaud them. Everything within this, whether it's the reception desk there, the backlit cube within the seating area, and the tables are all made of natural stone, but they're done so in a way that they are light and bent, which is the name of this installation. And here's from one other angle, as you can see the natural stone table in the bottom right-hand corner, as well as the light fixtures. The next installation is in Los Angeles. You may have imagined, and yes, that is a carved marble tub. As you might imagine, it's heavy, but it would have been completely cost prohibitive to carve a single tub out of a single block of stone in the past. It would have taken countless labor hours. Now we are able, with the machines that we have, to create these beautiful, beautiful pieces. And all they really require once they're fabricated is for hand finishing to bring that beautiful luster to the outside. Another important thing to note about this particular project is the fine craftsmanship, the way that the slabs are book matched on the floor, the toe kick, the waterfall edge at the vanity. Not every installer or fabricator is capable of this. And as Christine mentioned about the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, the Natural Stone Institute also has an accreditation process or a program. We accredit both fabricators and installers. And once you get a once-in-a-lifetime project like this, you really want to make sure that your team is built of qualified labor, as Christine mentioned. We have very similar program. Our program is very, very similar to the CTEF accreditation program. And again, we do offer that for fabricators and installers. And you can find those folks on our website, naturalstoneinstitute.org. Here's the kitchen in that same Los Angeles residence. The countertop, the island countertop, is lapis blue. A lot of you may know of lapis blue as a semi-precious jewelry stone. They make beads with it. It's just an incredibly beautiful material and very rare. And I just think that it's stunning there on that countertop. On the right-hand side countertop, that's azul macubas. That is a true quartzite. And as you can see barely in the right-hand corner or on the right-hand side, they have integrated a stone sink into the countertop. So there is a ramp sink to the right. I wish I could turn this for you, but it's really a really stunning application. And I love the fact that they used the split-face travertine cladding on the walls and the soft honed travertine on the floor. I think it really makes everything just pop. This is their guest bathroom. And though it's a lot less dramatic color-wise, I feel like the combination of textures and the installation and that beautiful stone tub just really bring this whole space to a very warm, inviting place. When I mentioned cut to size earlier, this project is built of a lot of cut to size cladding. Originally, the architect had specified for the stone to be cut at the quarry. This is Indiana limestone. And at one of the quarries, they were to cut and fabricate these panels. Unfortunately, when they arrived on site, they had a terrible time trying to match up all of the joints, and it was not a good representation of the way that stone should look. Therefore, they reordered. Thank goodness they did a mock-up. And they did not get this whole thing installed before they realized that it wasn't matching up correctly. They've ordered it cut to size. So the panels came in, and then the fabricator and installer used digital templating and was able to fabricate each piece and install it perfectly so that all of those joints perfectly line up. As you might imagine, it was quite the task. But again, this is why in cases where you have that project has to be absolutely perfect, you want to engage a certified installer and fabricator. I think this fireplace is gorgeous. And see how it travels all the way through the home. In the powder room of this home is a really, really stunning countertop. That is a semi-precious onyx. And they built the integral sink, as you can see. And it's beautiful how the front of the cabinet curves and the lines follow each other. Also note that in this detail, they inset the backsplash so that it's flush with the plaster on the wall. Also, behind the toilet is another piece of that feature material. I think it's a really, really, really unique. I had not seen it installed that way before, but I really think it's stunning. Also note that they went and made the towel holder there sitting on the counter, and also the Kleenex box out of the same material. Perhaps you are perhaps you're designing an outdoor kitchen. I love this. This just is so inviting. I want to go right now, especially because we have fires in Colorado. It's really smoky. This looks like an amazing place to hang out. Or maybe you would design a pizza oven to go in the outdoor kitchen at this mountain retreat. One point that I want to make is that in the natural stone industry, we are passionate about innovating. We will do, if it's your vision, we'll make it our passion to make it happen. And you would be surprised how many things are possible and how few things are impossible with natural stone. I was going to play this video for you, but it takes a little bit of time, and I'm watching my time pretty carefully. We have a video, and I could share it with you if anyone's interested, of how this was constructed from quarry to installed in Venice, Italy. It was quarried in West Texas. It was fabricated in Texas. It was shipped to Italy, and it was installed in place for this exhibit. Little recap. I'm curious. Obviously, I can't tell because I can't see the leaderboard right now. But just think to yourself: have you designed any projects recently that didn't use natural stone but could have? Are you able to name qualified labor or local companies that can help you source that material? Quarriers, fabricators, distributors, installers. It's really great if you can build those relationships before you get that dream project that has an unlimited budget and an amazing ability to do whatever you want. But it's also really good for every day. You want to have the right people on your project. There are many links in the chain of custody, as you can see here. Sometimes several of those folks do all of those things up and deliver it to the end user. I know of several companies within the U.S. that quarry, process, they import and export of other materials. They're not usually a distributor, but they're a fabricator and installer. So it all goes through the chain of custody that way. There are a lot of moving parts if every single person is different, but it is but it is something to consider when you're going through the process of preparing your specifications. What's your responsibility? Your responsibility is to make those materials or selections, to make sure that they're going to be obtainable, that they're going to have the right physical performance values, that they're going to be exactly what your vision encompasses. And sometimes that means you might want to have some materials tested. It's also important to verify, like I said, once again, the qualifications of the companies that you're working with. Know your stone. All stones are unique, and that's what makes them so incredibly beautiful and desirable. Properties can vary within a stone type. There are some granites that are wavy looking. They have a nice, beautiful, flowy pattern to them, and some of them are not. Some of them are very, very consistent in texture. Some travertines have really strong striation colors, and some are very, very subtle, like the one you saw in the bathroom for the LA residents. Always identify the specific material to ensure it's appropriate for that application. We don't recommend limestone in a steam shower, but there are a lot of other things that can be just equally as beautiful and give you the same qualities. That's where it's important to make that build those relationships with stone industry professionals. Perception of color, dependent on the finish, the orientation, the lighting, the surrounding materials, whether it's wet or dry. A perfect example is that bent light showroom. As you travel through there, the light hits at different angles, and the stone takes on different characteristics based on how it's oriented or the lighting on it. This is a problem or challenge. It's not a problem. It's a challenge for us stone geeks in the industry because we get a little bit too technical sometimes, but it's also a problem when classifying stones. For instance, a marble or a quartzite, that left-hand corner, you might think there are some quartzites that look similar to that, but that's actually a super white dolomitic marble. And unfortunately, sometimes those get marketed commercially as a quartzite. And though they are super, super durable and strong, they still do have some sensitivity to acid. So it's important to make sure that when you get if you're getting a quartzite, that you're getting a quartzite. Ask them to make sure. If you hear the term soft quartzite, it's probably a dolomitic marble. And again, they're beautiful, durable stones, but they are sensitive to acid, so they could etch the surface. The center one, is it a granite or a gabbro? Gabbro. Absolute black granite, as it's commercially marketed, is actually a gabbro in geological formations. Same thing with granite or gneiss. We just market it as granite, and granite's granite in the commercial industry, but in geological terminology, that's a gneiss. Thin cut, cross cut, or flurry cut. As you can see, there are some materials, as you might imagine, there are some materials that are very anisotropic, and there are some materials that are very isotropic. Imagine steel, a cube of steel, and if you slice it, either way you slice it, from any direction, it's going to look relatively the same. Imagine a block of wood. When you slice it, you're going to get either that flurry cut or that cross cut. And in many, many, many stones, this is the case. There are tons, countless finishes that can be applied to the surface of a natural stone. In fact, I don't know, some of you may be familiar with like a crocodile finish on a ceramic tile. Well, we do crocodile finishes on natural stone. So it looks like a wall of crocodile leather. We also can do very three-dimensional stuff. Now that we have the technology, that's a lot more cost-effective than it used to be. And we do have beautiful, beautiful three-dimensional tiles that are fabricated all the time and available. But just some regular, most common, honed, polished, thermal, split. The split limestone there is similar to the split travertine that you saw in the LA home. It's important to understand the project. What are the expectations? As long as we can communicate expectations with one another, we can, again, create almost any vision that you have and bring you and your client the most stunningly amazing project that you could have ever imagined. You can visit projects and quarries. We love to show you our quarries. I don't know a single quarry that doesn't like to have architects and designers and visitors come, and they can show you how it's harvested and quarried, and then how it's produced and carved and turned into magical applications. And it's important to make sure that you get ample samples. And I recommend, especially in large-scale projects, that you have a mock-up done. So that way you can make sure, like with that, for instance, that's how they determined on the house with the really horizontal cuts. That's how they determined that it needed to be templated on site and produced and fabricated locally so that they could get all of those joints laid out perfectly. Understand all the related components. Stone is not of itself the only thing when you have a floor or a shower. Remember, there's in some cases anchoring, like that limestone with the horizontal cuts, also that split-face travertine wall. There's going to be adhesives and mortars that are part of it. The wall assembly, what is it attaching to? What's in the paving assembly? Is that flooring, what is the substrate? What are you using for a mortar bed? Flashings, you might not get into flashings much in the interiors, but on an exterior kitchen or pizza oven, you might have to do some flashings and joint treatments. What's that grout going to look like? What's the mortar going to be? Is it going to be colored? Is it going to be flush? What joint width are you going to go for? Is it going to be 1/8 of an inch, or is it going to be 1/4 inch? It might sound really daunting, but that's where we come in, and we have a free online resource, or you can order a binder with the printed binder, but we have a resource called the Dimension Stone Design Manual. And if you download it, it is free. You just have to go on to our resource library and download that. But it could help you. For instance, if you're going to install a natural stone hood over a range in a home, or again, if you're going to build a pizza oven and you need to anchor some cladding. Costs. Now, I know one of the biggest complaints or one of the biggest challenges that people feel that there is with use of natural stone is the cost. They consider it too expensive, or it's important to consider all of the things that are in a cost. Consider the material, the installation, but also the life cycle. If that's going to live 100 years, and there are millions of places that you could see that are hundreds of years old. If it's going to live on forever, then it does matter in the initial cost. Time is money. So don't forget to build in that you may have to measure. You may have a laser template. For instance, that limestone cladding. There are sometimes you're going to need some testing done. Shop drawings. Make sure. Mock-ups. Customs, shipping, fabrication, and installation. Fabrication, it does take time to fabricate something, especially as beautiful as with waterfall edges and book-matched joints. Care and maintenance. This is something to consider. It shouldn't be daunting. It shouldn't be, oh, stone's too difficult to use because it needs so much care and maintenance. That's really kind of a fallow. It's a myth. Care and maintenance, if done regularly and done properly, can extend the life of a material, of stone material, for an endless amount. Also, natural stone is restorable and repairable, whereas a lot of man-made manufactured products, it's impossible to restore that finish or to repair, for instance, chips. Be sure to get the installation and maintenance information from your installer, or go to our website, and we have all kinds of information with regards to care and maintenance. These resources are Dimension Stone Design Manual, our website, naturalstoneinstitute.org, and our consumer-focused website, usenaturalstone.org. I love this to send people to this website that have questions, especially homeowners that really just don't get it. And it's a great resource for you to give them the information without you telling them, oh, this is what we're going to do, and that's the way it's going to be, and don't worry about it. Well, this gives them ability to research what their stone's like, what kind of maintenance is necessary. So this is a great resource, and there's a countless articles on there for them to go through. Environmental factors. We do have to be careful about what our stones are subjected to. Don't assume that they're all susceptible to everything. That's where the geology information comes in handy. For instance, salt water is not going to hurt anything, but potentially a pool coping in travertine or a limestone. Acid rain doesn't affect everything. Freeze thaw doesn't affect everything. Pool chemicals, cleaning products, a lot of materials are completely unaffected by any of these, but it's important to know which ones are so that we can protect those. You're probably not very likely to get into pool chemicals with what you design every day, but you might get into freeze thaw if you're doing an outdoor kitchen. There are standard organizations to help you with those. We do have a testing lab, and we do perform physical properties testing on natural stones. And there are countless industry associations, not countless. We have a lot of stone industry associations that we worked very closely with. Now, you might think I would never have any reason to be in touch with the New York or Pennsylvania bluestone, but you might be surprised. You might want to install a beautiful honed bluestone bench in the built-in cabinets in a mudroom. So again, you need to make those selections. You want to make sure that it has the required performance characteristics, that it's attainable. I mean, is it possible to get a slab that is 7 foot by 12 foot? Well, in some materials that is possible, and in some materials that is not. You're probably not going to find a slab of onyx in those dimensions. And know where to go for this additional consultation. That's where it's really important to build those relationships with our stone industry professionals. Again, here's some additional resources. And I do really, really encourage you to check out our resource library. The projects that I featured in the installation section were all Natural Stone Institute awards. Like I said, they were either Pinnacle or Tucker or both awards. Again, they were either awarded for their execution, fabrication and execution of the installation, or they were awarded for the design through our Tuckers. Just a little bit about sustainability. I want to make sure that I leave time for questions. So I will try not to spend too much time on sustainability, but I want everyone to know how very, very important sustainability is to our industry. And like I said before, yes, we were a little late to the game, but we have worked really hard and we have very, very strong, good practices for sustainability. And we do have a standard, which I will discuss in a minute. One of the biggest positives for sustainability, natural stone use, is embodied energy. Because there's no energy consumed in forming it. It comes out of the earth almost ready to be used. The only embodied energy within that material is the processing and the transportation, essentially. Here's a quarry. It is a quarry. As our technical director likes to say, if you've seen a quarry, you've seen a quarry. And that's really important to understand, like I said before, with regards to what block sizes are they're capable of producing, what finishes a material is capable of taking on. In Indiana limestone region, it's really interesting because you can go to 4 different quarries and they're very, very different from one another. In fact, one of the Indiana limestone quarries is quarried underground, whereas the rest of them are surface quarries. How is natural stone manufactured? Like I said, it's almost a complete building material in its natural state. Energy is only consumed in processing and transportation. Think about manufactured materials or artificial materials. The quartz surfaces, how are they manufactured? What goes into concrete? Glass, porcelain. Here's just a quick little chart to show you a little bit about the difference between, for instance, stone and aluminum, or even stone and glass. As you see, building materials do have a significantly different embodied energy. Life cycle costs. This is also an important aspect, and I mentioned it earlier. Maybe it costs you only 61 cents for, maybe an installation of a marble countertop. Maybe it feels like it's really, really expensive when you install it, but it's going to hold up a lot longer and live a lot longer and be repairable and restorable in its lifetime versus some other materials that you might use on that countertop. And also, it's important to note in this particular case, 50 years is not the life expectancy of a marble, but that's where they capped these materials. As I mentioned, the natural stone industry does have a sustainability standard, like the wood industry, like many other cast stone industry. We have a sustainability standard, and it's really, really important to us that our industry, even if we're not certified to these standards, each particular company, it's really important for all of us to use the practices, the best practices within our whole entire industry. We certify either quarriers or fabricators, And I want to note just really quickly, a fabricator, not a countertop fabricator, but for instance, that cut large scale cladding or columns, capitals, balustrades, those sorts of things. We do not yet have a sustainability standard for a fabricator. They are expected to use the best practices in their side of the industry. Many companies have certified. For a list of those folks, please visit naturalstonecouncil.org/sustainability. And again, the whole industry is working for this. It's not just those that have certified. We all care about all of the components and the metrics that are used in certifying these companies. Here are the metrics: water, energy, transportation, chain of custody, chemicals and materials. Those are the things that we use in the fabrication of stone. Excess materials, what do we do with our waste? We want to make sure that very, very little goes to the landfill. And in most cases with quarriers, almost none goes to the landfill. Innovation, how can we continually improve to be better at all of these metrics? Site management, how do we keep from polluting nearby? Well, most of our stuff doesn't pollute. But imagine if you live next to a limestone quarry in West Texas and the wind blew, it's really important for us to keep our dust to ourselves. Land reclamation. I wish I had time to show you some amazing quarry reclamation projects, golf courses, beautiful, beautiful landscapes, parks. These are all in quarry sites that have been reclaimed and repurposed. It's really important for us to protect our teams, our workers, our safety. Safety is of utmost importance to us. And I really like that we incorporated corporate governance. Social responsibility is important, and we need to do the best we can to take care of the community and our employees and our end users. I only included this, I know it's an exterior application, but I wanted to show you some of the textures and the unique applications here. Yeah, you're probably not going to design a plaza at the MGM outdoors, but notice the beautiful, beautiful surface finish. Notice the mosaic type aggregate laid on the floor. You can create a beautiful pebble floor in a shower or surrounding a tub. And look how the water dances off the side of that water feature. And the facets that were cut into the stone. It's important to note this stone is a certified quarrier and fabricator. It's in Las Vegas, just south of Las Vegas, the quarry and the fabrication facility. They are certified to the standard, and they are the only cradle-to-cradle North American stone certification, or has the cradle-to-cradle North American stone certification. And again, notice the light. Notice how light changes the visual. Natural stone does have a lower carbon footprint than all artificial alternatives and most other alternatives. And we are committed to doing this right. It's really, really important to us as an industry. Again, I know I've said it, but it is super, super important to us to be environmentally responsible. Just think about, do you make decisions based on price, aesthetic, or sustainability? How do you think this will change in the next 20 years? Here's that list of resources again. Please, 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 they're free. This is open source resources to you. we want you to use natural stone, and we want to help you do it. Please join us, and you'll go on and find our certified companies. Also, for any educators or students out there, we have a kit produced. As you can see, it comes in a box, and it has different stone types and finishes. It also includes Stone 101, which is the CE course that we provide, and a building materials presentation that's divided into 3 segments, but it is about 90 minutes long. It's similar to this in format, only it's much expanded because it's an hour and 30-minute course. And then it also includes, the thumb drive includes all of our resources, our handout, our Dimension Stone design manual, our technical reports, and then, like I said, the stone kit. So please, if you're interested, go to our website or get in touch with me, and I will get you sent a stone kit for your landscape, architecture, and interior design programs. Also, it's really important to you guys know, as you can see, there's that project in Singapore, but we have a beautiful publication. I mean, it's beautiful digitally, but it's even more beautiful in your hands. It's just a gorgeous print publication. It has so much valuable information and inspiration. I encourage you to go on our website and subscribe. So, thank you. I put this slide on here, or that photo on the slide, because it shows another innovative application that is all laser etched. It is just stunning. The wall is super long, but it's just gorgeous. So, without further ado, let's get some questions, because I know I'm running up against the clock.
Well, thanks so much, Stacia. That was really, really interesting, and you shared a lot of information, and we do have some questions.
Okay.
So I'm just going to jump right in.
Okay.
And let's see. So can you please, no, wait, let me start from the top here. So how do you address the criticism natural stone has received as of late for environmental and sustainability reasons? You knew that was coming.
I knew that was coming. And that's why I want everyone to understand that we do have a sustainability standard that our companies can certify to. We do address those within the communities that our quarries are located and our fabricators are located. And I have had this argument. It's not an argument. I've had this discussion over and over again the whole time since I joined the industry in 2001. And again, it's about the embodied energy, and it's about the best practices with regards to water. I mean, almost all of our fabrication facilities across the U.S., all of our fabricators use recycled water. We reclaim quarry sites. We have mitigating measures to take care of all of those things, and especially the people that are working within our industry.
Okay, that might answer.
I hope I answered that.
I think so. So I think part of what you said was leading up to this question. So about the environmental repercussions of using natural stone, I think you've touched on this a little bit. What is the industry doing to mitigate damage or harm to the environment?
I did touch on that. Like I said, first of all, the EPA requires that, and there's only a couple states that are not vigilant about this, but they require us to have a reclamation plan before we even open the quarry, before we even drive a bulldozer or any piece of equipment on it. You have to have it filed with the local authorities. Also, many of our quarriers have continual communications with their community members. It's important for us to be a community member partner, not to be, like you said, irresponsible. I hope that helps.
Sure, I think it does a bit. And then so one person's actually asking what happens when the mountains and quarries are gone because we can't, regrow those types of, um, natural resources. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or what are they just
Um,
like they do with forests? You know how they rebuild forests, but
yes.
yes,
Well, I understand the question. I would say that
I know it's a tough
it's
one.
in the 200 the last 200 years that we've quarried stone on this earth, we have taken so little of those mountains, and every day we're discovering other deposits. Um, the earth doesn't quit producing granite. That lava is constantly. Now I know you're going to say, okay, well, but it doesn't do it as fast or whatever. But it's constantly regenerating itself. We're constantly depositing sand and calcium carbonate, and so formations are being created all the time. Travertine is created in caverns. I mean, in hot springs. So that is a constant deposit. In fact, most of the travertine quarries are old hot springs that are now the stone is being used, and it's constantly creating itself. Onyx is made in caves. It's a deposit in a cave through the stalactites and stalagmites meeting one another, and as that cave closes in, then it becomes that deposit. So
Did we lose you, Daisha?
oh, sorry. So I hope I didn't leave off too fast, or I didn't cut off too long ago.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But let's get into a little bit different questioning here. So, when you were talking about the split face travertine,
Yes.
it's very expensive. And do you get that at a marble stone yard, or where can it be found?
It is not relatively that expensive. It can be found at stone yards. It can be found. What generally that is a cut. It's cut to size and then it's split. It's For instance, I don't know how many of the attendees have been to the Getty Center in Los Angeles, but the entire interior and exterior of that and that whole entire compound is travertine, whether it's paving or split face wall cladding. It is reasonable, and there's really, really great opportunities in regards to thin veneer. That's the same look, only in about an inch to an inch and a quarter thick. So though you can't get the module sizes very large, it can create some really beautiful stone applications.
Okay, and then a simple question here about, and I think you touched on this, but is quartz natural? The person says my client wants to know.
Okay, quartz surfaces are not natural stone. There is a varying percentage based on the manufacturer of quartz surfaces. Some manufacturers use in the 90-something percentile of quartz, and some are less than that. And it's mixed with a bonding agent and resins to create the slabs. So it has natural components, but it is not a natural stone material.
Okay. And then, so someone's asking about specific product type of trends. Are you notice anything that's growing, like as an example, granite versus quartzite for countertops or travertine versus marble for floors? Do you notice any trends happening?
The biggest trend we notice is light colors and dark. I mean, the contrasting colors. Travertine it has come and gone in fashion. But as you noticed in that Los Angeles residence, that big, large format vein cut tile was stunning. And it looked ageless, in my opinion. It looks very clean and beautiful and soft. Whereas there was a time when travertine, the trend was tumbled. Everything was tumbled or antiqued. But the trends I see are in finishes and the monochromatic colors, light colors versus and with stark contrast in dark colors or brilliant colors. I see a lot of white, a lot of white and gray.
Okay, so since we're talking about travertine, does the split travertine come in slabs? Would it be okay for a fireplace surface?
Okay, it does. So you can get a slab. It's not truly split face, it's chiseled, and get that texture. And yes, that would be fine for a fireplace surround. But the way that is manufactured is we cut it thick, and then we use essentially a guillotine to split it. We do it with limestone a lot. They do it with granite. The trouble is that the higher the course height is, the more concave and convex that split becomes. It doesn't split flat. So 12 inches, it's going to look pretty consistent. But anything over that, a lot of those stones will just have big voids or big domes on the surface. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does to me.
Okay.
Thank you. So now there's a lot of questions here about testing. And so one person's asking, can you expound upon the testing? Why, what type, and where? Another person is asking about what kind of test can I do on a slab that was purchased as quartzite, but afraid they were duped and told it actually
it was the Molomitic marble.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here.
I'm so sorry about that. Okay, couple of things. With regards to the quartzite versus Dolomitic marble, probably.
Yes.
On our website, usenaturalstone.org, there are a couple of really fantastic articles written about this where you can do your own stone sleuth and figure out exactly what you have. In the laboratory, the only thing we can do is do a petrographic analysis where we have a geologist cut it and analyze all of its components and write a report. Most of the time, that is not a cost-effective option for countertops or so on and so forth. But you can, like I said, use naturalstone.org. We do have lots of articles about that, and it explains what you have and what you need to take care of it at that point. And then the other was,
yeah, just about expanding upon the testing. I think you've kind of done that.
Yeah, in the countertop business, we can do a series of tests for you. We have a protocol written. It is not an ASTM standard test, but we can do things like test for staining and etching with things like lime juice or lemon juice or acid and staining components like wine. We can do that. It's not horribly expensive, but there's no standard to compare it to. So that's the challenge with that one.
Yeah, and then of course the standard question here, regarding home inspections for testing, a lot of people are wondering about radon.
Oh, I love that somebody brought up radon. In the past, there was a time when some of the other materials, countertop materials, drew attention to the radon issue. And the radon issue is such that once a material is quarried and the slabs are produced, the chance of radon in your home being at any level that could be harmful to you is essentially zero. What people need to understand about radon is in the earth. I'll give a perfect example. I live in the very mountainous central region of Colorado. When we build foundations here, when we build basements or crawl spaces here, we are very often required to mitigate radon because there is more radon in the earth below us than there is in any material that we could possibly bring into our homes. When we built the foundation under my home, we have tubes in there that let the radon gases escape out into the atmosphere instead of permeate up. In some cases, people live in an area that is so concentrated that they have to use a fan or a mechanical way of extracting the radon gas. But as far as countertop surfaces, that is absolutely not a concern. But if you're still thinking you want more information on that, I would suggest that you go to our website and type in radon, and there are some studies and some information that we can direct you further up on that.
Okay, and I think earlier on, thank you, Dacia.
Yeah.
I think earlier on you had some information about finding local certified installers, and I know that Christine from the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation has information on that too. So is that again another place where people can go? Is the Natural Stone Institute?
Yes, naturalstoneinstitute.org. And then we have an accreditation program for both fabricators and installers. You can search on our website for accredited companies. Absolutely.
Okay, great. And then when we were talking earlier about the environmental issues, I believe this person might work in a manufacturing area, but I'm not positive. And they were asking about silica issues in the manufacturing and fabricating of the products that you've been talking about today. Any thoughts on that?
Yes, silica has been a big issue in the industry recently. There were some folks that drew attention to quartz surfaces and what we call dry shops or dry fabrication. I would say that we go to extraordinary measures in fabrication and installation of material to avoid silica exposure, both at the quarry level, the fabrication level, and at the installation level. We're really careful about mitigation measures. Also, it's really important to know that we as an association have put together a safety program that fabricators and installers can go onto our website and to our university and take the silica courses and get certified that way as well, that you've taken the silica safety course.
That's good to know.
The program, yes.
Good.
It's very, very important to us to protect. Silicosis was something that it was a problem back in, 30 years ago. But now almost all the shops are wet shops, which means the silica doesn't get the chance to become airborne and enter the lungs.
Wow, that's great to know. And then finally, that I'm going to have to wrap here, but and I appreciate that you stayed this long, and everyone else out there in the audience. We've held quite a few people's attention here. But then finally, you were talking earlier about the educators getting a box of learning information. Is there also one for independent designers as well?
We don't currently have that. It's been cost prohibitive so far for us to have that, because what it requires is us to pick a specific granite or a marble and have, in fairness, it's tough to say, okay, this is our granite sample and it's North Carolina granite or what. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it hasn't, now as a teaching tool, it's okay, but I feel like it's not the greatest representation for a designer or architect.
Okay, that makes sense, because
we do have tons of resources, but most of them are digital instead of tactile.
Okay, that sounds good, because a lot of people may want to use someone more local or something.
Exactly.
Talking about sustainability and not having something driven, 3,000 miles but use someone more local that has
Precisely.
yeah.
And like I said, that's why I encourage people to build relationships with stone industry professionals and members, because we're very, very, very supportive of each other. And though I might not have what it is that you need at that point, we're really good about connecting you to someone that can produce that or install that.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Daisha Woodworth, for all of this interesting information, and also to Christine Whitmore, who I know is there in the background. And
thanks, Christine.
and of course to the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation for sponsoring today's session. And to thank all of you in the audience for staying with us, and have a wonderful day. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.